couple minutes, or do you think we're okay to start?
Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're at 6. At this point, 6 commissioners. We need 9 for quorum if we're hoping to vote today. So we certainly could give it another minute or so. I know that some of the commissioners that are not online yet did say they were going to be here. So maybe just 1 more minute. And then we can get started with discussion and they can hop in.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Oh, we have Commissioner Detman. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Well, if other folks pop in, then we can just take note of that. So let's go ahead and get started. And everyone, welcome to today's meeting. Thank you all for being here. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded and the chat feature is disabled. At this time, I will hand it over to Jenny to conduct the roll call. Jenny?
All right, good afternoon. Commissioner Anderson? Chair Armstrong Romero?
Here.
Commissioner Davala? Commissioner Detman?
Here.
Commissioner Gielen? Commissioner Kay Williams? Commissioner Keast?
Here.
Commissioner Lebrecq?
Here.
Commissioner Lewis? Commissioner Murphy? Judge Partridge?
Here.
Commissioner Rogers?
I am here.
Commissioner Rojo? And Commissioner Tassine. So at the moment, we are just 2 short of quorum. Commissioner Davala and Commissioner Kay Williams did indicate that they would be here, so maybe we'll just get started and hopefully they'll hop in by time for decisions.
That would be great. Thank you so much, Jenny. All right, next, I would like to invite any members of the public who wish to make a comment to speak. We ask that you keep your testimony to 2 minutes, please. And also note that there is another opportunity for public comment at the end of today's meeting. Discussion during the body of the meeting is reserved for members of the commission. So I will take a moment to see if we have any public comment. Okay, hearing none. Today, our main focus is reviewing and voting on the remaining recommendations for the September report. Our primary goal is to review and vote on the recommendations for topics 1 and 2 before we move on to reviewing the report holistically. So please, again, keep in mind that it's not a requirement that we have recommendations for all topics. And so we do welcome your input on formatting, organization, typos, and style, but we ask that we save those details until after we discuss the substantive matters. So let's see, we did just have someone join. Don't know if they count towards quorum.
Not yet.
Okay. So if we don't reach quorum today, we will still hold an informal discussion around the recommendations. However, we will need to schedule another meeting to take place by August 7th so we can vote and finalize the edits by August 14th. So if we, again, don't have quorum soon, then Jenny will be reaching out to you all to schedule a meeting for the week of August 3rd. So heads up. All right. Well, I've tried to speak slowly and stall as much as I can. But with that, I'm just going to turn it right on over to transitioning to discussing the report recommendations. I am going to hand it over to Kelly Gwynn from CJC to provide a brief high-level overview of topic 1, which is detention stays, and topic 2, education services, as well as the drafted recommendations. And again, this will be an informal discussion around the recommendations unless we somehow make quorum. And then with quorum, that would be a vote and more substantive discussion. So with that, I do want to just say thank you to Dr. Kelly Gwynn for her work, also to Mark Greenwald for his partnership with getting data from JJPC from OYA. So I just wanted to compliment their work. And right now, I will turn it over to Kelly.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyla. Can you all see my screen? So we plan to structure the discussion the same way as the June meeting. So I'll present a high-level overview of each topic, and then I'll turn it to Kyla for any questions and discussion or clarity on the information before turning to the drafted recommendations, which at this point looks like it will just be a discussion rather than any deliberation or voting. Hopefully others will join as we proceed with the presentation. So hopefully you all had time to review the report and have a copy handy for today. As you know, there are 5 topics in the report, and the last commission meeting focused on topics 3, 4, and 5. And so unsurprisingly, the discussion today will focus on topics 1 and 2 before revisiting the report in its entirety. And so that'll be detention length of stay and education services. And so topic 1 focused on detention length of stay. To begin to understand the process of youth leaving detention and returning to the community, the commission needed to know the population of youth affected by longer term detention stays, and that provides critical context. So youth can be admitted to juvenile detention by either the county or Oregon Youth Authority. And there are specific Oregon revised statutes that outline time limitations for youth in detention, with 28 days and 56 days being critical points in time. And the report presents information for stays that are longer than 28 days and longer than 56 days, as well as unique unduplicated youth counts for those that stay longer than 28 days and longer than 56 days. And it breaks this information down by the admitting agency, so either county or OYA. So as a whole, for detention releases between 2023 and 2025, about 13% of stays were greater than 28 days, and about 3% were greater than 56 days. So this is statewide, not broken down by admitting agency at this point. This is just high level. And as a whole, for that same time period, about 22% of youth experienced at least one stay greater than 28 days, and about 7% of youth experienced at least one stay greater than 56 days. And most stays were pre-adjudicatory, and the originating offense type for that stay, not the most serious on the open disposition, but that stay was felony. And there were some differences in demographic compositions by length of stay, but this should be interpreted with caution. That does not take into consideration the originating offense, their history, or larger context. Might be worthwhile exploring in the future, but that is outside of the scope of the current research questions. But use caution when interpreting those. And so with that said, I'm going to kick it over to Kyla for any discussion and clarity. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so everyone can see each other.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kelly. I do see that we just had Commissioner Tassine join.
Good afternoon. I'm on vacation, but I'm here to ensure we have a quorum.
Commissioner Tassine, I owe you lunch. Thank you. All right, so that still puts us, we need one more, and maybe Commissioner Davala or Commissioner Lisa K. Williams will be joining.
I did send both of them a quick email asking if they still plan to join today.
Great. All right, so we are, again, we're at the point of discussion, and I really appreciate what Kelly reminded us, that discussion, not deliberation. So the goal for this, for topic 1, is just any thoughts or feelings or ideas that you'd like to discuss around what was just presented. Oh, please, Commissioner Rogers.
Yes, Chair Armstrong Romero, are we talking about what she presented or the recommendations in the report for the length of stay period of time? Where are we at?
I think we can either one, honestly, at this point, because we're just having an informal discussion. We're not deliberating. So. Okay.
So when I was reading the recommendations, I just have a question, and I think you'll be able to answer it for me, actually. Is when we're talking, the key drivers made sense around detention length of stay. When we were looking at considering legislation to amend 419C 145 to reduce the mandatory judicial detention review window, are we talking about the 36 hours or the 10 days?
It would be the 10 days.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Dr. Quinn.
That was just my clarification piece was just the difference between those two.
Is that right, Kelly, though? I just want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. That
yes.
It is
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So clarifying that in language in the future when we have quorum and deliberating on the language would be important. Yes.
No, I just wanted to make sure that I understood what the scope was when I was looking at everything. Thank you. So it's just discussion.
Any other thoughts or questions? If there are none, then we can move on to topic 2.
Oh, I have another one, but I will wait and see if others.
Commissioner Rogers, it looks like you have the floor.
Okay. So I really appreciated the conversation and the documentation and all of the questions and all of the data. I do think that we do need to clarify at some point, and whether it's in the executive summary, and I'm just thinking big picture of that detention is fundamentally different because it's ran by and financed by the counties, that it's that piece of it. And again, I'm not wordsmithing, but just making sure in the big picture that we articulate that there's a difference on those two responsibilities would be helpful.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that what the limitations are for the counties, right? Especially in some counties, we have major fiscal constraints, and the limitations for what we can do in-house versus what we expect for the community to do looks very, very different, especially when you have some communities that have to send their kids out of state because of just it's closer to Idaho, maybe closer to Washington. So there's those constraints as well.
Yes, I appreciate that, and that it's all still back on the counties for the cost piece of that. So absolutely, I appreciate that. That was just the one piece that kind of we could clarify more and strengthen that language. And then I would be interested in Commissioner Detman if he had any opinions or thoughts about how the guidelines could be mentioned in here a little bit more.
I mean, yeah, I don't have an immediate thought about that, Molly, but I think it's a good idea. And I think you're referring, this is Commissioner Brian Detman. Yeah, I think you're referring to detention guidelines and the work that the Youth Development Council has in developing those guidelines, which we did over the last couple of years, and now have those available for detention facilities across the state to use, and it makes reference to best practice and yeah, you know, and other evidence-based practice. So it would definitely be valuable to reference that material. I can share that with or a link with Jenny or with you. I mean, Commissioner or Chair Armstrong Romero. I think accessing that and referring to that it seems really smart.
And Commissioner Detman, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a statute that uplifts, right, the detention guidelines.
Say again. I couldn't probably name the statute, but there's certainly a statute related, and I see Commissioner Rogers shaking her head. We have a responsibility, and I couldn't say if there's a specific. I'm not sure all the statutory pieces, but certainly we've got some responsibility in that regard.
Thank you so much. I think it would be maybe beneficial either in the future or now to just uplift the fact that there is that call out for detention, that, you know, the guidelines are something that help us to make sure that we are, even though we're all 36 different counties and we do things 36 different ways in detention, that this the guidelines are kind of our anchor, if you will, and there's a statutory call out for that to be our anchor for detention. Would you say that's accurate, Commissioner Rogers and Commissioner Detman?
Yes.
Agreed.
Awesome. Any other discussion for topic 1?
I can share a screen with the drafted recommendations if folks want to see them written on the screen. I didn't share that. Would that be helpful? And give folks a few minutes to maybe chime in as needed. So these are the 3 drafted recommendations currently for topic 1, just for a refresher. If there is no further input, I can go into topic 2, Kyla, if you would, if that's the plan.
I think that would be great.
So topic 2 focused on education services. So Oregon Department of Education presented at that February meeting, and several questions were raised during the discussion portion of the meeting. And the commission was interested in what percentage of students entering JDEP and YSEP had an individualized education plan and or a 504 plan. And the commission also wanted information on attendance and graduation rates of both JDEP and YSEP. And for that information to be further broken down by location and available demographic subgroups. So data has yet to be made available to the commission to answer those additional questions. So the report focuses on the information learned at the February 2026 meeting. We at CJC are actively working with ODE staff to brainstorm and figure out ways in which to answer additional commission questions as we move forward. But currently we do not have that data, and the report, as you likely know, focuses on that material from February of this year. And so I could just share the screen with the recommendations and we can have the discussion holistically. And so there were also 3 drafted recommendations for this topic. And it was the first one was identify gaps or barriers to information and data coordination between county juvenile departments, the Oregon Youth Authority, and the Oregon Department of Education. The second recommendation was establish an automated secure data sharing protocol connecting ODE's student database with the juvenile justice information system to instantly flag existing IEPs and 504 plans upon a youth intake into JDEP or YSEP. And then the third was implement a compliance tracking system to ensure local school districts fulfill records requests from JDEP facilities within 24 hours of admission as established in the Oregon Juvenile Detention Guidelines.
Great, thank you, Kelly. Any discussion? And Kelly, it might be helpful to leave the recommendation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I know that folks on Teams, I think you can like unpin it so you could still see people's faces. So it's not just like their whole screen.
I have a question, and it is, I think this is what was being referred to by Commissioner Detman and Commissioner Rogers in the previous topic discussion, the Oregon Juvenile Detention Guidelines. What is that? I don't, and where could I, is it online somewhere that I can see it? Are you referring to the factors in the statute, or is that a different document?
Commissioner Detman and Commissioner Rogers, I will turn it over to you to answer Commissioner Keith's question.
This is Commissioner Detman. Yeah, I can drop a link or send it to you, Jenny, or somebody, Kelly. The Youth Development Council has responsibility for developing a broad set of guidelines for county detention facilities. And so this reference and the last conversation, the last topic, are references to those guidelines, which we spent a couple of years in the a year and a half under Molly's leadership of our Juvenile Justice Committee, developing to, again, establish and provide guidance to facilities. This specific, and maybe Commissioner Rogers can help me remember this specific piece around a tracking system to ensure local school districts fulfill records requests. It's a 40+ page document, so I can't remember all of the every last detail of that document. But I believe there are sort of call outs and specific information as it relates to responsibilities of education programs within detention facilities. I don't know, Commissioner Rogers, if you can recall the more specifics around this tracking system. Yep, feel free to jump in, but I don't know, also don't expect you to have that committed to memory.
Yes, it's in the detention guidelines. So JDEP is part of JDEP facilities are contracts between Oregon Department of Education and local entities to provide education inside the detention facilities as well as youth correctional facilities. And so it's actually ODE's responsibility. I'm trying not to use acronyms. It's Oregon Department of Education's responsibility. Education for youth who are in custody is the responsibility of Oregon Department of Education. And so the detention guidelines set up some reference the law and then have some best practices set up in the guidelines for detention facilities to work with the Department of Education, but the county juvenile departments are actually not the entities responsible for the education. Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot there. I think the guidelines are actually about 120 pages. And they're on the 6th edition, but they're on Youth Development Oregon website.
Okay, thank you. I know we had talked about detention guidelines before and the YDO's kind of work and your work on that. I hadn't seen it in that phrasing before. So I was like, are we talking about the statutory factors? So I thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
Yes, so I'm not in this particular one. I'm they implement a compliance tracking system. is interesting. It's complex. And if we got the first one done, the one, well, that one is complex, and I'm not sure. I don't want to wordsmith it. I think that I understand the intent. I'm not sure I think the words are getting at what we want.
I think what has happened in the past, and I did pull up the administrative rule, so I don't know if this is helpful, but OAR 423-150-0005, it talks about the detention guidelines as well as ORS 169.005. I think the issue that we've had is that sometimes it takes a while for the school districts to send over the right records for kids who are in detention. And so when you have a education school district, like we have the Multnomah Education School District who provides education here, and I believe they provide education for 3 other facilities across, or 2 other facilities across the state. Sometimes the delay with records, particularly pertaining to like IEPs and things like that, can hinder learning for kids who are in detention. So I think that is like trying to create a format or something for accountability to make sure that the school districts inside of the detention facilities have what they need to most effectively serve the kids who are there. Do you have any follow-up questions on those statements, Commissioner Keast? Or
No, thank you. That was very helpful. And thank you for giving me the OAR and ORS citations. Now you are speaking my language of letters and numbers that go together. Thank you.
any other thoughts or comments?
Chair Armstrong-Monroe.
Please.
Yeah, I sent a link. This is Commissioner Brian Detman. I sent a link to Kelly and Jenny, so you now have the a link to the PDF, so that can be shared or added to the folder if it's not already there. But I did a kind of a quick search, so I in the document, I'm not saying it was exhaustive, but this reference to implementing a compliance tracking system, I'm not sure that where that language exists. So this idea, maybe to not to wordsmith, but to Commissioner Rogers' point, I'm not sure how we get this implement a system as established in. I'm not sure that I'm not just that connecting the dots will be important.
Absolutely. I think what you're saying is really important, and maybe it's not as established in. I think there's 2 things being tied together here, which is the requirements for fulfilling their requests within 24 hours, right? Versus because I thought the guidelines spoke to that. I don't have them open. And thank you to Jenny for just sending them out. It does actually say on page 100.
Would you like to share your screen? I could stop sharing.
Sure. We don't use Teams over here, so I'm going to try this. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So page 153, within 24 hours that you get the records.
And so it's the request that's being monitored. It's not necessarily, I appreciate that so much. So looking at it, it's the request, not necessarily receiving the records. Is that correct?
Right. I believe so.
Me too. Thanks.
But maybe that's not what the intent was, Commissioner. I'm not sure.
No, that's the intent because we don't have the control of the other side of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. It's the intent was the request.
Okay.
Wait, sorry, this is Vice Chair Rojo. I'm a little confused on the third recommendation in the education services. So we're saying that the intent is to track that the facilities are making the request for the educational records, or that those requests are being complied with in a timely manner.
I think it was the opposite. That's true, that the requests are being complied with because, well, I don't know. Let me.
Because I personally like the way it reads, because it reads to me as if like we're tracking to see, we want to see how long it takes for school districts to comply with that request. That way, I guess you could identify any problem areas or districts who aren't replying in a timely manner to ensure that the educational records are over to the facility. But maybe I'm just not understanding the last point made.
Do you mind putting back the recommendations, Kelly? So it is the facility's responsibility it's actually the educational partner's responsibility to request the youth educational records within 24 hours.
So I'm reading these two documents the way I think that Vice Chair Rojo is reading them, which is that the guidelines are saying that the records have to be, that the facility has to request the records within 24 hours. And then the recommendation is wanting to track whether that request is being met within 24 hours. And so that might just be a misread of the detention guidelines. So if we want to track the response to the request, we can just take out the part that says as established in the Oregon Youth Development Guidelines, because that's getting at something different to me.
Yeah, that's how I was reading it. Yeah, I like the idea of tracking how long it takes, not for the request to get sent out. I mean, it's already a guideline to send it out within 24 hours. That's great, right? But tracking how long does it take for those requests to be fulfilled. That way we can identify any barriers to that fulfillment, and kind of see where the needs are there. That's what I would want to look at. So I think the wording just is a little with the 24 hours thing. Just I don't know.
And so that will be something that we can note for a conversation when we are able to deliberate, unless we have 16. We have 16 people. Okay, we still don't have quorum, so we can add a note to discuss that further. I'm trying to be mindful of discussion versus deliberation, keeping that straight. Any other discussion?
Sorry, I have a maybe one more clarifying point or discussion point going back to topic 1. Going back to the second recommendation in topic 1 that we were discussing about consider legislation to amend ORS 419C145 and related detention guidelines to reduce the mandatory judicial detention review window. So I'm all for reviewing that statute and any you know the guidelines, but again, this is maybe me getting into the weeds. The actual statute for the mandatory review window is 153, I think. So that was just a note that I had on there. 145 is the factors, and then 153 is that review window mentioned in the recommendation. So just a clarifying point that I wanted to bring up there, but that's all I had.
Thank you.
Chair Armstrong Romero.
Please.
Can we go to the next topic? Back to the education one. And just for thought and discussion, and I think it's as we're drafting, just kind of thoughts for recommendations is automated and data sharing and those kind of languages. I'm not sure. I feel like often those things are attached to bigger ticket items, such as systems talking to other systems, not humans, but like systems talking to other systems, which I've been around a little bit to know that can be difficult. I would be interested in looking at maybe just the protocols and the processes and the documentation and guidelines, maybe instead of automation or tracking systems. Again, it's just for discussion in the final pieces of it, is just kind of thinking through. I love the idea of identifying gaps and barriers to information and data coordination. That one is kind of more of a tangible one we can have conversations with. And then maybe develop, after we've identified the gaps and barriers, maybe we develop protocols or develop suggestions or guidelines to tracking systems. So it's just a thought process for just discussion.
I think we had some robust discussion around the specificity that folks wanted to see, and at least I'm trying to recall. I can barely remember what I ate for breakfast, but trying to recall last month we had a robust conversation around commissioners wanting to see more of that, like specific tracking and data sharing, like an actionable item, because it wouldn't be necessarily this is not the work of the commission to do these things or to track these things. It's the work of someone else, and they would be informing us, right? And for those of you who may recall that conversation better than I can, please feel free to weigh in.
I've just been really up to my neck in the JJPC modernization, so maybe that's where I come from, that perspective.
Thank you for your work on that, Commissioner Rogers. Any other thoughts or items for discussion? So as a whole, Kelly, did we have any other pieces that we were going to discuss about the holistic report?
Nothing that comes to mind. It's more of you all have now seen the kind of full substantive package. And if any new things have come up in the other topics we discussed in June, that we can revisit those, as well as formatting, structuring, things like that. So one thing that comes to mind, I guess, in terms of structuring is the recommendations piece is separate. It's a separate section versus kind of intertwined with each section. So that's possibly something that can be changed. We put the recommendations in the topical section, so it's less of a jump, so to speak. So you have all of that context and then immediately to the recommendations, or we can keep them separate. So topics like that are also open to discussion, but it's mostly just to give everyone the floor to revisit what was previously mentioned and if anything has come up since then.
Great. Any other thoughts based on that? Okay. Well, thank you for everybody for your discussion today. And unfortunately, Commissioner Tassine, thank you for your dedication and joining on vacation, although we still did not meet quorum. I apologize to you, but thank you. We are going to have another meeting, and we must meet before August 7th to formally vote. So please look out for that invitation from Jenny. Are there questions about that piece? It will likely not be a Friday, so just wanted to put that caveat out there. So we will have that meeting. I do just want to give a quick update to you all who are here. I am going to be, I accepted a position in Colorado, and I am going to be moving back home with my family.
Boo.
Thanks, Commissioner Tassine. I'll be moving back. My last day with Multnomah County will be September 4th, and my last day with the commission will technically fall on our last meeting, which is scheduled for August 28th. I did notify the governor's office that of my vacancy, and I've also notified them that timing is of the essence for the chair piece, which we hopefully there will be something that happens quickly. But now there is a time frame for that. So I just wanted to say that. And I see Judge Partridge, your hand is raised.
Well, you've totally taken me by surprise, but I just wanted to express congratulations to you and thanks for your work on behalf of the committee, even though my time with you has been short. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been amazing working with all of you, and I cannot wait to see what amazing things you all do for the juvenile system from afar. I'll be watching and championing you all. So, Commissioner Tassine.
All right, I'll thank you, Commissioner Chair Armstrong Romero. I'll try this again, but more professionally. Congratulations. I'm excited for you and your family. I know you get to be closer to family and community that you have there. So I'm thrilled for you, but I am sad for juvenile justice in Oregon. So wishing you the best. I know we'll stay in touch, but yes, congratulations.
We will stay in touch. It seems like we can't lose each other. It seems over the many years that we've known each other. I feel like we're just connected. So I appreciate that. And also, Commissioner Tessine, I'm really excited to see your leadership blossom within OYA and all that you're doing. I know that I have faith in our system, and it's been such an honor and pleasure to work alongside all of you. So with that, we have reached a final item. That's all we had on our agenda. And I will be gifting you all a lot of time back. Oh, Kelly.
Yes, I just wanna say a couple quick reminders. So the final draft of the report, I know we'll have another meeting. But just as a reminder, a final draft will be sent to the commission by August 14th. And we will hopefully be having a meeting that week beforehand. And regardless of meeting, if anyone has substantial feedback in terms of maybe things like Commissioner Rojo mentioned, the ORS numbers, if there's anything that needs to be revised, rewritten to reflect what was actually meant to be conveyed, if we can have that sent to me by July 31st, if possible. So that's another week from today. And that gives me enough time to incorporate it into the report. And then between then and August 14th, smaller things like typos, table numbering, things of that nature are totally fair game. But anything critically substantive by July 31st. And I'll send up a follow-up email to everyone, including the commissioners not on this meeting. And then that draft provided in August is essentially the final draft, except for those typos and formatting. So we're in a critical window of substantive feedback between now and July 31st, August 7th, since we'll have another meeting then. Allows for us to work that in. And then I saw Brian has his hand up. That's what I have.
Can I jump in?
Please.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Kelly, for that. I have a question as it relates to the report that I could have asked via email, but I guess I'll just really quickly throw in. I think it's more about sort of format and not a content question, and maybe answered and I just missed it. Is there a plan to have some kind of an executive summary, like okay, assumed, but I just figured I'd ask while it was on the top, since this topic came up. Thanks.
Yes, there will be an executive summary.
Great question. Any other questions or thoughts? All right. Well, I do want to open the floor again to members of the public who would like to offer any comments or thoughts. As a reminder, please limit your comments to 2 minutes, and I will pause. Okay, seeing no further comments, thank you all for your time, for your work, your participation today, and we can go ahead and adjourn, and we'll see you in a couple weeks or a week.